Hey there everybody, Kevin here from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 Today YouTube channel, and today I'm starting a new series trying to figure out if I like certain bands I really don't have strong feelings for. Today is the first edition of that, and my band of choice is Dance Gavin Dance. So why am I doing a video like this? Well, let's go through it. First, a fan actually requested I do a video of a band review on Dance Gavin Dance, but I really never fully got into Dance Gavin Dance's music. I've listened to it a couple of times. I have featured them on the channel before as a Song of the Day choice, but in the end, I just really never knew how I felt about them. So I thought, once I'm doing a whole band review on them, let's go through something like this and really do a deep dive into figuring out if I like the band or not. The other reason I'm doing this video is because the album Afterburner, Dance Gavin Dance's most recent album, came out on April 24th, 2020, and a lot of people have really liked that album. Myself, I didn't review that album on that week because that week also had the new Trivium album, What the Dead Men Say, and I focused on that one, and I'm so glad I did because I absolutely love that album. Now, one of the things I saw before this was Finn McKenty of the Punk Rock NBA coming out with a video of him finally figuring out Dance Gavin Dance, and while I didn't want to have to piggyback on it, I ended up watching it, liking the video, and ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to try and figure out my thoughts on the band on a video like this. One thing you will see during this video is a couple of references to Finn's Punk Rock NBA video, how I figured out Dance Gavin Dance, mostly because I think he does a really good job explaining some of the things in there, and I kind of have to put him in here to really kind of explain what certain things are going for. So enough with that, let's get into it. So the first thing we have to look at for me to try and figure out what I think about Dance Gavin Dance is their sound and how it's classified. So Dance Gavin Dance is primarily classified as a post-hardcore band, and if you take a look a little bit more into the subgenres of post-hardcore, there's one called Swancore, which really fits in well here, which we will get to in a little bit. They're also somewhat classified as an experimental rock group, where they're playing around with some of those experimental styles and playing around with a little bit more of the basics of rock music. There's also progressive rock, where they have jazz, folk, and classical influences in their rock music, and math rock, where they have this complex and atypical rhythmic structure in there. Think of a band like Rush with Geddy Lee and Neil Peart and Alex Lifeson. I mean, they are pretty much the kings of it, and that's what I think of when I think of math rock, but I still think Swancore ends up being the best one for Dance Gavin Dance. So really where Dance Gavin Dance can be classified is under Swancore, because Swancore is a subgenre of post-hardcore that includes post-hardcore styles, prog rock styles, math rock styles, and post-rock styles to be mixed in with both high pitch and screaming vocals at the same time. And where you're really going to be finding these Swancore bands are bands based from Blue Swan Records, which is owned and operated by the founder of Dance Gavin Dance and their guitarist, Will Swan. And where Will Swan really comes in to create that Swancore style is really with his wheedly style of guitar playing, in which Finn McKenty of the Punk Rock NBA really pointed out there. Now, what is the wheedly style, or as Finn calls the wheedly gene? If you take a listen to Will Swan's guitar playing specifically, it has a certain twang and style to it that is perfectly sounded out as wheedly, very onomatopoeia-like of it. And that's where a lot of people really like and dislike the band overall, because as Finn McKenty says, either you have the wheedly gene where you really like it, or you just really don't like it all that much. So really, when I think about it, does the wheedly sound work well with me? Well, not necessarily. If I think about it, when I think about the music that I like that harder and more raw sound of the guitar work, especially more down-tuned as well, that I see in a lot of different genres that I really do like. Take a look at more punk rock bands like Rise Against, Anti-Flag, and Against Me. I think that really hits well on this. You take a look at rock bands like Skillet, Shinedown, and 3 Days Grace, I really think they hit that. And metalcore styles, like Polaris, more of a straight kind of metalcore style. Some more gothic metalcore from Motionless in White, and a metalcore more experimental style with more of a creepy sound to it, like Ice Nine Kills. I absolutely really love those sounds and really resonate well with those sounds. So when it comes to the wheedly style of the Dance Gavin Dance sound of Will Swan's guitar work, it doesn't necessarily hit me as much because, again, I like that down-tuned, more raw style, the more that up-tuned, more polished style that Will Swan is going with, very technical driven. However, I will go into it when I go into Afterburner, because there are times on this when I think that wheedly works for me, and there's times where I really don't think it does overall. One thing when it comes to Dance Gavin Dance, and I noticed especially going through a couple of their songs, a couple of their older songs, their newer songs, is there's definitely a change of lead singer in there. And when I looked at the band's history, yes, there have been a history of lead singer changes, where you had two stints with Johnny Craig, one with Kurt Travis, and now with Tillian Pearson, who have been with the band ever since the year 2012. And normally when you think about it, A lead singer change is almost always the death of a band, but there are very certain times where this goes against the norm. So let's take a look at a couple examples. Normally when lead singers are changed out in bands, that almost always means a death sentence for the band. So a couple times where you can really see that happen, take a look at Motley Crue. When Vince Neil left the band in the early 90s and John Corabi came in, the fans reviled it and the band pretty much was at a dead stop until Vince Neil ended up coming back. Take a look at Van Halen, but not David Lee Roth to Sammy Hagar. I'm talking Sammy Hagar to Gary Cherone, where the band completely nicks in any kind of growth after that. After Sammy Hagar left, they brought in Gary Cherone. And let's take a look at Sublime with Rome, because with Rome Ramirez at the front, really the funk that Sublime ever had is just completely gone, and it just doesn't hit well with the fans nearly as much. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times when bands do change lead singers, and they do find success as well. But there's also times that they do find success, but it seems like if they had stuck with their previous lead singer, the potential they could have reached was higher, or the popularity that they had was higher. Take a look at a band like 3 Days Grace. I believe that with Adam Gontier, they hit the height of their popularity. Matt Walsh isn't a bad replacement, but he doesn't necessarily hit on the same level with 3 Days Grace as Adam Gontier hit. Take a look at a band like Escape the Fate, where Craig Mabbitt does an admirable job, but when they were with Ronnie Radke, it looks like the popularity could have soared had Ronnie Radke ended up staying with it, and history been completely different. Even take a look at Falling in Reverse. Right now, they're much more popular than Escape the Fate really ever was. If you want an example of that, take a look at the Drug and Me Is Gold tour, where Falling in Reverse was the headliner and their opener was Escape the Fate. Another band, a more classic band you can look at that, is Black Sabbath, when they had Ozzy and then Ronnie James Dio. With Ozzy, yes, you had the godfather of metal and everything around it, basically the first big metal band with Black Sabbath. Dio comes in. Dio does an absolutely admirable job, but it just doesn't compare to what they had with Ozzy and what Ozzy would end up becoming, having the moniker the Prince of Darkness. It just never really matched up. Now, the reason why this happens is because frontmen are usually the focal point or the center point of the band, whether it's from the vision standpoint or just the songwriting standpoint. So think about it, Rise Against. If Tim McElrath were to ever leave, Rise Against would nowhere be near the same height and popularity that they have gotten, or the same stuff they've gotten, because Tim's vocals, lyrics, and just the way he writes the music is so precise that it just would be completely gone. Even with lineup changes in the past couple of years, Ice Nine Kills has continued just to grow and grow, especially with live shows and just the sound, and it's all based on the vision of the frontman, Spencer Charnas. Would Disturbed be anywhere close to the popularity they have now if all of a sudden David Draymond were to leave without that unique, preachy, powerful style vocal? And take a look at Breaking Benjamin, where they have that just insanely more calm but melodramatic but powerful sound without Ben Burnley. I don't think they would. So that's why the frontman is at the focal point of something like this. Now, there are also times where this does work out, where lead singers are changed and the band actually has more success. Take a look at a band like AC/DC with the unfortunate passing of Bon Scott and then Brian Johnson taking over. AC/DC soared to completely new heights, especially after the Back in Black album. With Brian Johnson, they had this whole entire different but similar sound to them, and they never really crossed the two genres together. But I mean, you hear Brian Johnson do a lot of Bon Scott songs and they still sound fantastic. Take a look at a band like Van Halen now, again, from David Lee Roth to Sammy Hagar. There's a lot of debate between fans which one was better, the Van Halen years or the Van Hagar years. I mean, there's a lot of debate there. A more modern example, take a look at Killswitch Engage, where with Jesse Leach, the band ended up reaching metalcore prominence, and with Howard Jones, they just ended up keep going further and further and further. And up they're back to Jesse Leach, the band is still on top of the metalcore world as we know it. So back to Dance Gavin Dance. Why are they not amongst the styles of bands that have fallen off a cliff ever since they changed lead singers, even though they changed new singers completely twice and gone back and forth on 3 separate occasions? And the real reason I think that is because they don't depend on the lead singer, or the persona isn't based around the lead singer as a whole. Really, the persona is based upon that wheedly sound of Will Smith's guitar in the Swancore style, because that's what's really based off of the Dance Gavin Dance sound. You're not really focused on the vocals, you're focused on how the instrumentation is playing off, especially from Will Swan's guitar. Now, if Will Swan were to lead the band, do I think they'd have a little bit of an issue? Absolutely. But do I think changing lead singers they have a little bit of an issue? No, because they've proven that even though they can change lead singers at times, the band just keeps growing to new heights every single time. So it works for them. So now let's go to Afterburner, the most recent release from Dance Gavin Dance. And when you really take a look at Afterburner, it came out on April 24th, 2020, and it was reviewed heavily well by metal publications and rock publications like Loudwire, Alt Press, Kerrang, you name it. It got a lot of good reviews and the fans absolutely loved it, from hardcore fans to moderate fans. I saw a lot of people tell me this Dance Gavin Dance record is absolutely fantastic. And in a lot of polls, ended up being the record of the month for April, beating out heavy hitters such as August Burns Red and Trivium. Now, I had to jump into it to really get to understand if I like Dance Gavin Dance's sound or not, and if I was going to be a big fan of the band or not. And it basically all depended upon how the wheedly gene and style of Will Swan's guitar really worked in my mind, and this is where I kind of came up with it. So going back to Finn McKenty's wheedly style, wheedly gene that he brought up in his video with the punk rock NBA, there were times on this album where I really didn't like it, and where I really didn't like it was when it was mixed with a lighter, more progressive rock sound and with clean vocals. And the biggest reason why I didn't like it on that one is because, like I said earlier, I like it a harder sound. That's normally my kind of style. And when I'm mixing with that wheedly sound with more of a lighter sound and more of a jazz rock sound, a folk rock sound, and mixing it with more higher pitch and clean vocals from Tilly and Pearson, it just doesn't connect well with me. I feel like it has a little bit too much of a pop feel to it. While it is completely different from a lot of different pop rock sounds and just it has its own sound to it, it just doesn't necessarily hit me right because those sounds don't necessarily resonate well with me. They sound light. If you take a look at the math rock style, while I do like what they do here, its light feel doesn't have the ominous and dark tone like other math rock styles that I really do like. Take a look at Rush, for example. They have more of an ominous, darker tone to them, and that's really where I resonate more with that kind of a style of rhythmic stylings than with Dance Gavin Dance. So take a look at a song like Prisoner in Strawberry's Wake on Afterburner. That's really where I think this kind of comes into play, where you're seeing that style of lighter wheedly style that just doesn't necessarily match up well with me. There are times, however, where I really do like what they do with the wheedly style of the guitar, and on songs like Born to Fall and Parody Catharsis, I think there are examples of it perfectly, and that's when they take that wheedly style guitar work and mix it in with a harder style instrumentation and unclean vocals. So on those songs, you're going to hear the clean, crisp, wheedly sound from Will Swan's guitar mixed in with harder instrumentation, especially from the drum. That's going to be harder. The timing's going to be a lot quicker, rapid, hard hits, a lot of double kicks. So it's going to be hard, and the unclean vocals are easily going to match up with that as well. But why does it stick out in my mind? Again, I really do like that harder style, but what I really do like about it is because of the contrast it provides. You're getting this hard sound and mixing it in with this clean, polished guitar work that's kind of layered over one each other, and I really do like it. And the reason I like it is because it kind of gives me the feeling of this is hard, this is heavy, but then again, this too shall pass. And in the end, I do like it when they go with stuff like that. So there's times that I do like what they do on Afterburner, there's times that I don't like what they do on Afterburner. But it's more of a mixed bag for me, and it's all based upon how the contrasting styles work with the wheedly style guitar work. Another whole topic of taking a look and figuring out if I like Dance Gavin Dance or not is taking a look at their persona and how they are personified within themselves and, you know, within the media and the community that they work with. And when you take a look at them, they really have this anti-rock star vibe to them. Whereas beforehand with a lot of the rock bands and metal bands, you're going to see these larger than life figures that people are going to look at and be like, these guys are rock stars, they're partying, they don't care, and they're playing by their own rules. Classic examples, take a look at guys like Freddie Mercury from Queen, take a look at Ozzy Osbourne, and almost every single guy from Motley Crue. You guys look at those and you can think these guys are rock stars. Take a look at more modern examples, you're taking a look at guys that really personify that more, that larger than life character and have more of that eccentric personality, more out there, more energy, and just really being out there in the scene. Take a look at guys like Ollie Sykes from Bring Me the Horizon, Andy Bierstack from Black Veil Brides, and Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse. And again, it's the eccentricities, it's the energy, it's just the passion, it's the craziness that kind of flows from that all works in and really creates that whole entire more rock star persona that really people get into. But then there's Dance Gavin Dance on the other hand. So again, Dance Gavin Dance has more of that anti-rock star kind of persona, and it's more, instead of an anti-rock star kind of persona, it's more like an everyday man kind of persona, where you take a look at them, and if I'm walking on the street, trust me, if I'm not a part of the Swan posting people, which again, that's kind of like the big Dance Gavin Dance online communities with Swan posting, because I'm not that big of a band, if I'm walking the street, there's no way in hell I'd even recognize these guys if I saw them on the street. And I think that's just because when these guys are out there, they portray themselves just as who they are, just as normal guys, and it also online as well, just making silly videos, doing whatever the heck they want, and just kind of really doing the videos and things that you could expect people of my age, of, you know, mid-20s, even late 20s, early 30s, early 20s, late teens, that kind of stuff, really kind of posting about that stuff. And when I think about it, this really does work well for their fans under the age of 30. It's because they're getting more of that everyday kind of feel. They're feeling more of a connectiveness to those people and them as personalities because they're easily relating to what they're doing with their own lives. It's so much more interconnected. Take a look at social media personalities that have become absolute celebrities because of that. And I'm going to use a couple examples. Take a look at a guy like PewDiePie from back, mid 2010s, where just guy playing video games, reacting to them online, and basically feeling himself like he's playing video games with his friends in old classic co-op mode with the N64 playing GoldenEye. But I think Gary Vaynerchuk is the perfect example of this because as an entrepreneur, I mean, he is talking about all this stuff and he is completely this big guy. But why he's so relatable is because he's always talking about his beginnings. He's always talking about how he started out completely low in a one-bedroom apartment or a studio apartment with like 9 family members, worked his way up through his dad's liquor store, built his dad's business up, and then started his own company, started from the ground floor and built it back up. And he always talks about the struggle and he never laments on it. So it's for that everyday personality that people really get into. So when it comes to that, people really can associate with the Dance Gavin Dance persona, all based on the fact that it's super relatable for people in my age bracket. Myself, however, I don't really fit in with that very well. And the reason is because I feel like myself, I got a lot more energy, I got a little more enthusiasm, and I'm a little bit more out there than normal than, what you would expect from most of the people that you see online. And a little bit more out there, woo! So when it comes to the people and rock stars that I end up gravitating towards, I gravitate towards a little bit more of that crazy style with guys like, the guys from A Day to Remember constantly just going nuts on stage. Caleb Shumway just going absolute bonkers if you watch him on stage. Guys like Chris Motionless, Spencer Charnas, Ronnie Radke, even Tim McGrath with just that insane raw energy that he has. I'm more drawn to that than more of that everyman kind of style. That's just me, but I can easily see where the Dance Gavin Dance persona is a heavy hitter for a lot of fans due to its relatability. So now we have to go to the fans and the community that's created from those fans for the band Dance Gavin Dance. Even Dance Gavin Dance has their own festival called Swan Fest based in Sacramento, California. The 2020 iteration of that festival had to be canceled, unfortunately, due to the coronavirus pandemic. But taking a look at the bands that are on the listing, a lot of those bands are off of Blue Swan Records. So they're going to have that Swancore style that I spoke about earlier, where at times I like it when it has the mix, the harder sound, the unclean vocals, but not the biggest fan of it when it's a lighter sound and clean vocals. It just doesn't work well with me. And taking a look at this, would I go out of my way to go to Swan Fest? Probably not. And the reason is because I just don't, again, mix well with that Swancore style, especially on the lighter style of it. And out of the 2 bands I really want to see on this one, which would be Issues and Crown the Empire, Issues because I've been getting into them a little bit more, but not necessarily fully, and Crown the Empire because I thought they had their 10th best album of 2019 overall, not their 10th, the 10th, and I was supposed to see them at the end of November 2019 on the Episode 4 tour with Fall in Reverse, which unfortunately got canceled due to Derek Jones' wife having cancer. Also, rest in peace, Derek Jones. That was incredibly sad news, and I just really don't know what else to say about that. Sorry for kind of bringing you down. But another reason why I wouldn't necessarily want to go to this festival and really be a part of it is just because when it comes to Dance Gavin Dance, I really would rather see Issues and Crown the Empire. So I put more stock into trying to get close to the front of the stage to them because I love being in the crowd. I love feeding off that energy. And just being close to them, all of a sudden, here comes Dance Gavin Dance. I have to make my way to a completely different stage. I'm going to be stuck in the back and it's just not going to feel the same. I feed off of that energy at shows, and that's why I love being in the mosh pits. That's why I love being close, because I can just feed off that energy and it makes the show so much more worth it. If I'm just stuck way in the back trying to watch a screen, it's kind of, for me, like, why bother? And I feel like if I went to Swan Fest, I feel like it'd be the same way. So for Swan Fest, I wouldn't go out of my way to see it, but if it were something like if Dance Gavin Dance came to the rave here in Milwaukee, would I go get tickets? Yeah, I probably would. Now, of course, I've talked about the fans and the community itself, and Dance Gavin Dance has some of the most vocal, the largest group of fans online, and the largest community online, with both good and bad coming in there, with a lot of good from the positiveness that comes out of it, and just the community of fans and the feeling of togetherness, but there's also toxicity within the bad of some of the hardcore fans going way too over the edge. However, that's in everything. But let's take a look at the good with Dance Gavin Dance creating this kind of community of big fans. What it allows the fans to do is it allows the fans to really get in together and just feel like they're a part of something bigger than they are, but also have a support system of other fans that they really can lean on if they ever need to. I mean, the band created Swan Fest, for example. Their video for 3 Wishes basically is a fan source video. And then you take a look at all their online communities from Swan posting. There's a lot of people on there, and people are making friends. People are relying on people and asking each other for help at times when they need it. And everyone wants to give it to them all through a shared love of Dance Gavin Dance. I've seen this with other bands before. My Chemical Romance has something like this. Slipknot with the Maggots. And even my friend Kathy, who started a Disturbed fan page, which is based all off of helping people through Disturbed's music. They all have that in there. And that's where the good comes out of it. But I have to also take a look at the bad if I want to take a look at the good. So where the bad comes into this is sometimes you get some of those super duper hardcore fans that are so into the band and will protect the band at any given cost that sometimes the fans that aren't into it as hardcore them feel threatened. Or fans that aren't necessarily into them as much and they're trying to get into them are necessarily not going to like it because they're going to might feel put down by these hardcore fans and just not necessarily really get into it. That's where toxicity can come in. There are a lot of times where Swan posting their social media platforms and sites and threads can really cause a lot of this, and I've seen some things here. I'm not going to post a lot of examples because I really don't want to spread a lot of negativity. However, there have been times with other groups of fans that I have encountered this with. Take a look at the Black Veil Brides Army, the BVB Army, because I made a video about why people dislike the band, and the BVB Army came and said, can you please make a video of why they like the band? I'm like, yeah, I was planning on doing that anyway, so it worked. Take a look at the Maggots from Slipknot. When I came out with my We Are Not Your Kind review, and I said I didn't like the album, I had a good number of people coming at me saying, your review sucks, you don't know anything, and I asked them, well, why do you think it sucks? And they said, because you suck. Now, that's not the majority. That was like 1 or 2 cases. I had more people say, I suck, but then when I asked them why they thought my interview sucked, or my review sucked, I should say, they gave me full-on thoughts, and we ended up getting into discussion, and it ended up being fantastic. I think the best example of this is from my year-end awards in 2019 when I said that AJR was nominated for one of the worst albums of the year, and I thought their album, Neo Theater, was the worst album of the year. I had a lot of AJR fans feel threatened and come after me because they want to defend their band. Almost every single time when that happened, though, I talked to these fans and we shared ideas about music, and we ended up becoming friends off of it and gaining respect for each other, even though we disagreed on musical taste. And I feel like with this video coming out, I feel like there's going to be some Dance Gavin Dance fans that are going to be the same way. They're going to want to be hardcore, and they're going to want to protect their band that they love so much and they feel so much a part of. And that's fantastic. If you feel like, I'm not doing that good of a job, or I'm not putting out Dance Gavin Dance in the light that you want me to put it out, let's talk about it, because I'm more than willing to talk about it. Overall, though, when you create a community that large, it is one of the best things possible because it allows for fans to easily get access to the band. For someone like me, say I go on one of these Swan posting threads and say, hey, I'm looking to try and get a Dance Gavin Dance a little bit more. What are songs that have a little bit more of a hard style to them that, when they're mixing that wheedly style with that harder sound, the harder instrumentation, the unclean vocals, I'm almost certain I would get hundreds of messages from fans saying, check out this song, this song, this song, this song, this song, and I would absolutely love it. I'd probably get some messages from fans like, oh, you don't know nothing about Dance Gavin Dance, you like every part of it, but I'm asking a question. I feel like the community as a whole is so much better. Plus, the community as a whole really allows this band to grow exponentially because as a whole, they're able to really do a lot of things online, like push marketing, push them beyond certain different festival lineups, even further up on the list or on the lineup, further up to play at the end of the night. It could easily work, and just having that kind of community is such a huge thing for a band that Dance Gavin Dance created, and it's absolutely amazing in the end. So when it comes down to it, do I like Dance Gavin Dance? I'm going to say I'm neutral on Dance Gavin Dance. I don't really like them, but I don't dislike them. I'm just straight down the middle with them. So the reason why I like Dance Gavin Dance, why it's pushing more towards the like side, is when they do that wheedly sound with the harder style and how it contrasts with each other. Because when you get that this is bad, but it's all going to be over soon feel, or this too shall pass feel, when in the end you're going to get this polished, more technically driven style from Will Swan's guitar, and you mix it with a harder, faster pace, pounding drum beat, and then you get the unclean vocals in there. I really like how that contrast plays off each other. And I do have to give a huge shout out to the fan base as well, with this huge community that ends up helping out a lot more people. There are some times where it's bad, but that is the very much smaller minority than the majority of fans wanting to help out each other, wanting to be a part of this community, and really just enjoying life through the band Dance Gavin Dance. Where I'm not necessarily big on the band though is when they take that wheelie wheelie sound and have more of a clean, crisp sound to it, because it just doesn't resonate well with me on the contrast like the unclean style does, and that is more the majority of their sound than the unclean style, so it just doesn't necessarily work out as well for me. And then take a look at their personas as well, that anti-rock star kind of vibe, that everyman kind of vibe. Again, it's just something that I'm not fully resonating towards, so in the end it's just something where it's like I'm on one end, I'm on the other end, but in the end, I am straight down the middle. So overall, when it comes down to it, Dance Gavin Dance isn't going to be one of those bands I'm going to go way out of my way to go listen to and find for me personally, where I will do that for bands like Ice Nine Kills, for Rise Against, for Disturbed, for even Falling in Reverse at times. But what I will say is, if someone is going to play some Dance Gavin Dance for me, and like if I'm at a party or if I'm driving my car and my passenger's like, hey, I want to play some music, I play some Dance Gavin Dance, the likelihood of me turning it off is almost none, because while I do enjoy parts of the song, there's parts I don't enjoy, but it's not something I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to try and distance myself from, but it's not something I'm going to try and seek out and go after. Dance Gavin Dance, I'm going to let it come to me. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not mad either way. So trying to figure out my thoughts on Dance Gavin Dance, I think the word neutral is the best way to describe it. So don't necessarily like them, but I don't hate them. I'm right down the middle with them. And will I feature them again as a Song of the Day choice? Yeah, it's Dance Gavin Dance. They got good sound. Well, that's it for me trying to figure out my thoughts on Dance Gavin Dance. It's a new series I'm trying, and I'm going to try and keep it going with some other bands where I'm not necessarily sure if I like them or not. I think the next one I'm going to do is probably baby metal. So if you like the video, give me a like, dislike it, give me a dislike. Put in the comments below what you like or dislike it, and we'll talk about Dance Gavin Dance. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified I release videos every single Wednesday, our podcast videos every single Tuesday, and anytime anything else gets released. Also, please follow us on social media on accounts like Facebook. You find anytime anything gets released, it's on Facebook. Twitter, same thing, but it's really easy to get in contact with us on Twitter. Instagram is our biggest platform where you get the 30-second Song of the Day preview. Anytime anything gets released, our IGT videos, which come out every single Tuesday night. It's behind the scenes look at what we're doing here at My Song of the Day. And our Instagram live streams every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central. It's where you can come talk to us. We can have a great time. And you know what? It's just fun time. So link description below to follow all of us on those. And now I'm going to talk about the Chord Progression Podcast. It is our very own podcast where we have done a complete 180 on it and went from just talking about whatever the heck we felt like to really focusing in on interviewing the emerging bands of the time today. So we're getting a lot of bands that are emerging overseas in Europe and here in the US as well. So you want to get on some of these bands because they're going to be doing the openings for tours the next year, 2 or 3, and they're going to be in the big headliners in years 9 and 10, so 2029, 2030. You can get in on them early now and get in early on their sound and find out who they are. So listen to the Chord Progression Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. And also, you can watch the whole interview with these band members on YouTube right here. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you are always downloading because we come out with videos and episodes every single Tuesday, sometimes a special Thursday ones if we have 2 episodes in a week. And lastly, please enable our Amazon Alexa skill because the Song of the Day choice is probably the most important feature in the end because it's what allows people to discover old music, discover new music that they're gonna love or fall in love with music they used to love. It's gonna allow them to find these smaller bands on Small Band Saturday when we feature smaller bands to try and help them get some notoriety. And it's just the best way where you can connect with other fans and find out who likes these bands, who likes these songs, and if you like them, you can connect them, become friends, and just do a lot of stuff. It is the most important thing, and the Alexa skill, you can listen to the whole song instead of a 30-second preview, so go enable that because we put out a new song every single day. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. This one was a little bit of a doozy to make because I just really didn't know how I was going to feel about it, so I went through a bunch of stuff, and I ended up coming up with it. I did enjoy it, though, so I hope you like the next iterations that come out of it. But until next time, this is Kevin from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 Day YouTube channel. I'm going to do the classic hat flip. This time I'm in a chair, so see ya!